Hey guys, Paul McClain here. Welcome back to the Monday Morning Mindset Podcast. Hey, Happy New Year. It is here, 2026. Have you already messed up your goals? Because I think we're a couple days into the year now. Like, where are you at with your goals? And my goal today is to serve you and to serve you well, to really kind of help give you some clarity, to lay a foundation that you could build a year that at the end of it, you look up and you're like, oh my God, it's beautiful. I didn't think it could be this great. I didn't think it was going to feel this unbelievable. And I believe it's how you start your day. And so today, I really want to go over some spiritual, some personal disciplines that will really set you up to have a massive day, because the reality is this: the year's not one in a day, but the year is one daily. So what you do each day makes a massive difference. And I think too often times we really undervalue and we demean and diminish the small little things done over a long period of time well. And then we also diminish the small wrong things done over a long period of time and the detriment that those have. And so I really want to unpack some disciplines that you can do that I promise you will set you up where each day is that much better. And so what we want to unpack is some of these commonalities. Guys, I've done this for quite a while, and I've reached out and spoken to many different people, a lot of different successful agents. And what I find to be true is that there's some commonalities that kind of are standard within all of them. And I know for me, as I got started, I wanted to identify the commonalities, because if I knew if I did what other successful people did, I was probably going to get what successful people had. And that was my goal. And I believe it's your goal as well. And so let's unpack these pavers, right? These pavers, it's an acronym I'm going to work from. A paver would be like a stone that you step on, a path that is laid out before you to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. Now, guys, this is not just applicable in selling insurance. It's not just applicable in recruiting and building a business. It's also applicable in your fitness. It's also applicable in your finances, the way you lead your family. Like, these are the pavers that will take you to the next level with all the goals you've set in place for every area of your life that matters most. And so these pavers are essential, because the truth is this: you're in this battle between the old you and the new you. The old you is a 2025 you. The new you is a you want to be at the end of the year, because in order to accomplish the goals that you've got to think different. You got to be different in order to accomplish that. If you're already different and already that person, you already have that goal, you'd already be standing at that result that you desire. And so we're going to unpack these pavers. Now, the first thing I know to be true is that most top performers, they get up early and they control their day right away. See, too often times, especially nowadays with the phone, just creating all these terrible habits that if you're bored, you pick it up and go to Instagram. If you wake up, you pick it up and you go to Instagram. If you go to bed, you watch Instagram and then you go to bed. Like, the trigger for a lot of the emotions we have and a lot of the times in our day or the environments we go into, the routine is, let's pick up our phone. And so for most of the time, most people, I believe in the early morning, you might just pick up your phone and start letting life and circumstances tell you what to think, tell you what to do, tell you how to feel. And so the best thing that I did a long time ago was make this decision that I wasn't going to just open up my phone right away in the morning and start to look at, what do I need to take care of? What's going on? And now I'm fighting fires. Now I start with this feeling of overwhelmed, stress, anxiety, and now I'm trying to deal with this and deal with that. And how about this? We always start about, like, you want to start your day the right way. You want to start your day with gratitude and being positive. Well, heck, if you check your email right when you wake up and you got a huge chargeback, are you excited about that? No, you're not excited about that. You're like, this is a great day. I got a $3,000 chargeback. This is going to be an unbelievable day. No, you don't. And so you want to start your day in a way where you dictate the disciplines you're going to have, because if you can control your day early, your day will not control you. How many times you get to the end of the day and you feel exhausted, depleted, no energy? Well, it's because the day was telling you what to do, what to think, and how to feel. And so step one is put your phone on the other side of the room, in the bathroom, wherever. Set the alarm, stick a water bottle next to it, maybe even two. And when the alarm goes off, you got to get out of bed, you got to walk over to your phone, and you got to chug the entire water bottle. And then you ask yourself, what should I do? Because the reality is this: if your phone is next to your bed and it goes off, what's easy to do? It's to roll over and hit snooze, and that's what you want to. You want to make it hard to do the wrong thing. You want to make it hard to do the old you thing. You want to make it easy to do the new you thing, the thing that a top performer would do, the thing that a successful, I've hit my goals thing you would do. And so across the room, it goes off. If you're like me, I got my wife sleeping in bed, and she doesn't like for the alarm clock to go off at 4 a.m. And so if I don't get up out of bed, man, she's going to kick me out of the bed. And so I'm going to get up either way. So I get out of bed, I go drink the water. Most of the time, you're tired and fatigued and you want to hit snooze, it's because you're dehydrated. So your body's dehydrated, your mind is fatigued, you wake up, you drink the water bottle. I suggest put some like electrolytes, whether that's Ultima, Element, whatever it is, but have some electrolytes so you're hydrating yourself right away. You're much less likely after you pound a bottle of water full of electrolytes to hit snooze, walk all the way back to your bed, and get in your covers. Could you still do it? You could, but it's going to be very difficult, and you're less likely to do it. Let's stack the deck for you to have a successful day and a successful year. And so that's step one. The next step is this. Once I've done that, go get the coffee, go do whatever you want to do. You go cold plunge or whatever your routine is outside of that physically. But then I get into a place for me. It's a room in my house. It's like it's a theater room. It's downstairs. You can't hear nothing. Nobody can hear you. And so I go there, or I'd go to the center in a hyperbaric chamber, which if you don't have one of those, if you do, nobody can get to you in them. It's like a hard shell. So it's like I'm putting myself in timeout, getting my cellular function right, but also being able to hyper focus on my morning disciplines to set my day up for success. And so find a place, a space where you can go into. The first thing I do is I open up and I start praying. Now, you don't have to pray. You could just focus on breathing. You could do meditation. I do focus on my breathing. I control my breathing. I believe that's a great reminder and connects me with God. If you think about it, when you're anxious and you're full of anxiety, typically you could lose your breath, right? I believe anxiety is a great separator from the oneness that you've got with your Creator and God. And so my job is to make sure I release anxiety. A lot of times it's easy to focus on your breathing because you might start your day and you got a lot of things in your mind. You got a lot of things you got to tackle. Maybe your financial situation is not where it needs to be. And so you're focused on me. Man, I got to fix this. I got to make some money. Well, that's a bad place to be in, right? You're starting at a lack opposed to abundance. And you can't create an abundant life or an abundant result from a lack mindset. And so the first thing is I'm going to release anxiety. I'm going to release negative emotions. It could be doubt. It could be not feeling like you're good enough, feeling unqualified, feel like you're over your head, feel like you're overwhelmed, whatever that is. I got to release those feelings. And so I focus on breathing. That could be like 3 seconds of breath in your nose, 8 seconds of breath out your mouth, but just focus on your breathing. Once I do that, I enter into prayer. And like I said, if you're not a person of faith, you don't have to do that. It's just what I do. I'm a man of faith. You guys know that. I'm not trying to push it on you. You could do meditation. I just spend time in prayer, and I remind myself of who I am in Christ. I remind myself about what God says about me. And I feel like prayer helps you shift from the old you and reminds you of the new you and what God says about you. Because how many know that, the prior day, it could be the prior year, it could be 7 years ago. You might be still holding on to something that somebody said about you. And so in prayer, I let go of those things and I remind myself of what God says about me. And it's a difference maker. It changes everything. And so in prayer, I start to get a vision of that next level me. I start to get a vision of what God's called me to be, a vision of my purpose and my calling, because I believe that the greatest vision that you could have for your life is not a vision that you just have, it's a vision that God can give you. And so I spend time in quiet time, I can be reminded of the vision of where God has my family, has my finances, has my business, has my personal production. Like God wants you to live an abundant life. I'm reminded and seeing the abundant life that God's called me to. I remind myself of the promises that God has for me in the scriptures, and I'm meditating on those, and I'm praying and having God search my heart. A great prayer in the morning is God, search my heart, test me, know my anxious thoughts, lead me in the way of everlasting. Like God, first search my heart. Do I have any anxiety, anything that's going to hold me back from going out there and being the best I could be today? Because if you want to have a better day, you got to work from a higher, elevated, better emotion. What is that emotion? It's gratitude. So I enter prayer with thanksgiving and praise. I thank God for all the things that are going great in my life. I'm intentional with that. This is so important because I believe that you could have everything in the world and be so saying, hey, once I get here, I'll be so blessed. I'll be so excited. And then you get there and you're not. Why is that? Because gratitude is not just a feeling. Gratitude is a strategy. There's miserable people with things that you're like, if I had what they had, I'd be so happy. And they're miserable. Why? Because it's not a feeling. If they're always chasing the next thing, it's not a feeling, it's a strategy. So the strategy is, let me focus on me being grateful for what I do have. God, thank you that I've got a business. You say, Paul, my business isn't growing. My personal sales isn't growing. Well, thank God that you're in a business, in a position where it can grow, that you have the opportunity and ability to get around good people, to learn and develop, and that even if it takes you a little bit of time, there's no shadow of a doubt that you're going to be successful, because anybody that's not given up eventually becomes a success story. I've never seen one that hasn't. I've never seen somebody that's been like, man, for 7 years, I've just been kind of getting by. Never. Like they continue to move forward, and eventually they find success. So what are you grateful for? It could be in the breath in your lungs. It could be for your family. It could be for your friends. It could be, for the fact that you were born in America. Whatever it is, what are you grateful for? So listing those things and really kind of embodying and feeling that sense of gratitude. I think it's also important to go back to different times in events that you really can feel grateful. I go do a couple of them, and I want to, build up my gratitude and appreciation for my wife, because the truth is my performance is closely tied to my appreciation. If I stop appreciating my wife, I'm not going to think about the things to serve her and really take myself out of it and love her the way I need to love her. If I don't appreciate my business, I'm going to take it for granted. I'm not going to do the disciplines. I'm going to compromise. I'm not going to realize that I got an unbelievable opportunity that I can't squander. So I've got to build appreciation for all the things in my life that I'm called to steward. And so that's an intentionality. So I sit back and I think about certain moments of myself and my wife, like together. I think about, the vacation we went to in Cabo, and a picture that I have, I pull it up on my phone and I look at it and I see her looking out into the abyss, and it just kind of fills me up with gratitude, just seeing her innocence and the fun and the playfulness, and just like a part of her character that I absolutely love. And then I think about her worshiping in the hospital room when my daughter had just got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and I look at that and think, man, what a woman of faith, and that stand and petitioned and didn't step back, but stepped forward in prayer when it mattered most and fought in faith. And it reminds me of the character that is beautiful that she has. Because how many know, just like in business, just like relationships, like, you don't think my wife and I haven't had an argument or a disagreement? Oh, of course. You don't think that she said things that she probably wished she didn't say, and I've said things that I wish I probably didn't say? Well, of course. And that those things maybe didn't leave resentment? Of course they do. Now, I can focus on those things, but if I focus on those things and things that I wasn't happy with and things that weren't done right, or maybe the house went, whatever it is, like, that causes me to drop my appreciation, and now I operate at a low level, and that low level produces a low result, and therefore I don't hit the next level in that area. Same thing with business. You get a chargeback. You're so focused on the chargeback that you forget how beautiful it is. It's a part of the business, and you have the ability to go help 12 more families. And if you help 12 more families this week, what does that matter? It doesn't matter. And being just grateful that you have the ability to serve clients with the best product in the nation, that it makes the greatest difference in their life, the product that you get to sell them, and that you have the ability to recruit and teach people how to do the same thing and build passive income and get financially free. But sitting there in an appreciation, now you start to lay the foundation. You're starting to put down a paver to say that I'm going to operate throughout my day, whether that's me calling leads, making recruiting phone calls. Man, I'm just going to be grateful. I'm going to operate and work out of a much, much higher emotion. It's essential. It's a big deal. See, gratitude and anxiety, they can't be harbored at the same time. And just as fast as anxiety or stress or whatever negative emotion comes in, man, so does gratitude. As fast as that comes in, it can come in and wash it out. So intentionally this year, make it a year where one of the stones that you step on into the path that you want to get to is a stone of gratitude, thanksgiving, and appreciation. It's a prayer stone. God, thank you. Now, like I said, if prayer is not for you, You can meditate and be grateful as you meditate. I also believe a part of gratitude is seeing the year, where you want to go, what you want to accomplish, seeing that with such clarity, you executing and getting to that place where maybe you want to say, Paul, I want to have $1 million in issue paid volume as a team. Well, visualizing what that looks like, how many leaders you have, what does their financial situation look like? Them talking to you about how it's changed their life and how it's transformed their family and their situation, what they're able to do financially, and seeing their agents coming on board and for the first time writing 20K and the excitement, and you get to talk to them about how they did it, what it looked like. Visualize what that looks like and how it feels. See yourself making recruiting calls and doing the activity that you've already concluded is necessary through reverse engineering to actually hit your goal. Man, see yourself doing that activity and being grateful and executing and getting the result you want, and then having that feeling as if it's already happened. See, if you can have such a compelling vision in this picture of 2026 going the way you want it to go and you accomplishing your goals, if that picture is so vivid, it's so compelling, you'll be more compelled to step into the future full of hope and promise, opposed to being pulled by the memories of the past and making today look just like yesterday. And you wake up at the end of the year and it's another year that you had all this hope and promise, but it was all unfulfilled. And so you want to have this compelling vision that's so compelling that it almost pulls you towards it as if it's already happened. See, the one thing I know to be true is that, your mind doesn't know the difference between what it imagines and what it actually experiences. Same, case in point, it's like having a nightmare. How many of you have had a nightmare? You wake up and you're like, crying, freaking out, acting like it actually happened. It's funny. The other night, I don't even know if I should tell you guys this. Well, we'll be vulnerable. My wife wakes me up. She's laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing about? She's like, you're crying like a little baby. And I was like, what do you mean like a little baby? She's like, you're like making noises like you were crying. And I was having a nightmare. Right. And she thought it was funny. So she sent a video to her sister and they just were up, watching whatever they're watching, sending memes back and forth or whatever. But I didn't know that it wasn't real. Why? Because you don't know the difference between what you imagine and what you experience. And so if you can start to have this imagination of what it's going to look like, you're going to start to have the feelings as if it's happened. So you're going to do the things and have the behavior in such a way to make sure there's alignment there. See, most people miss their goal because there's no alignment with their mind and with their body. Most of the time, you're moved from your feelings and your emotions that are tied to your body. And so there's this disconnect. In my mind, I want to have great success. My body's dictating what my mind is doing because I've not suppressed my body and said, no, I'm not going to listen to the anxiety. I'm going to renew my mind by the word of God, by promises, by visualizing where I want to go. And then I'm going to go out there and transform my life because I'm going to now step towards the vision that I've got. So prayer, gratitude, step one. Step two is affirmation. See, you have to speak to yourself, not listen to yourself. How many times have you heard that little voice in your head that's like, yeah, probably not you, probably not going to work, you're probably going to fail. What are they going to think when you fail? And that little voice is just sowing in little seeds of doubt. And that doubt, you start to think about it and you start to meditate on it and you start to think about it. And before you know it, that little voice just gave you a suggested thought, said just a phrase of like, man, you're not good enough. You're going to fail. And then you talk about it, you meditate and you ruminate on it. And before you know it, the voice that really wasn't yours because you didn't discard it and choose to speak to yourself, you inclined your ear and listened to this voice of negativity. You call it the enemy, call whatever you want to call it. But before you know it, that voice through repetition has now become your voice. And now you can't tell the difference between your voice and that voice. And so now you just go through your day believing a lie that you're not good enough, probably not going to work, don't take the risk, whatever it might be. And you're being suppressed from setting the foundation right to take the next step towards the goal that you've got. You're messing up. You don't have the right paver down. So affirmations is I'm going to pre-decide the person I need to become to hit that goal. If that person's a focused person, a disciplined person, and maybe you sit back and you've reflected upon 2025 and you say, last year I believe if I was more disciplined, if I was more focused, if I believed bigger, I think those are the three things that the person that would have hit my goals would have embodied. Those are the values, the characteristics they would have had. Well, guys, that's your affirmations. My affirmations every morning that I wake up is I'm a disciplined, focused person that takes big risk, that believes big, and is going to accomplish my goals for the year. That's your affirmation. So you continue to speak about it. You say it, you write it, you speak it, you think it over and over and over and over again. And before you know it, you're speaking to the higher level identity you, because God didn't create crap. He created you to be disciplined. He created you to have self-control. He created you to be gentle, to have kindness, to have patience, to have long suffering. He created those things in you. Like that's what he created you to be, how to operate. And so when you start to speak to those things, it's not a lie, it's the truth. You can say, well, my behavior doesn't show that. You don't have to act a certain way to be a certain person. Like your behavior doesn't dictate your identity. Just because you failed doesn't mean you're a failure. Just because you didn't take the risk doesn't mean you're timid. It just means you behaved in a timid way. You start speaking boldness and courage because that's who you actually are, and watch your activity and your behavior start to fall in alignment with your words that are really proclaiming the assignment that you've got, which is to get across the path to your goals, to the destination that you've gotten. So starting to speak life to yourself, not death. Scripture says life and death are in the power of the tongue. Those who love it will eat its fruit. What are you speaking? See, again, this is just, I guess delete this if you don't want to listen because you're not, you're not a person of faith. That's okay. But I do believe that we were created by God in his image and likeness. And if we're created in his image and likeness, then we do things and we were exemplified by God on things that we could do and we should do. God is a creator. He created the heavens and the earth, which means by what? Nature, you are a creator. So you can create a whole new future. That's your superpower. No other creation that God created has the ability to create. They just do what they were created to do. If it's a bee, they create, beehives and honey, that's what they create. If it's a silkworm, they create silk. They don't wake up and think, today I'm going to create some kind of like poly cotton blend. They don't do that. They just do what they're created to do. You can create a whole new future. I don't care what your past says. I don't care where you're at. I don't care if you've struggled and you've not hit 20K yet. I don't care if you've been, I'm at a plateau of 100 grand as a team. I want to get to 2 million. The reality is it starts with you imagining it and forecasting a new future. And so God spoke the world into existence, which means what? You speak your world into existence. What are you speaking? Are you speaking about the world in which you want to see it, the person that you want to become, accomplishing things you want to accomplish? Start to speak those things. Affirmations are essential. Affirmations are crucial. See, when you're squeezed, what comes out is what you consume. And so if your affirmations are not, you have a hard time doing it, or you have a hard time saying positive things about yourself, the question is, what is your consumption? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you reading a book? What's your personal growth plan look like? Because when you get squeezed, what comes out of your mouth is what is full in your heart. What's full in your heart is what you put into it through your eyes and your ears. Are you reading good stuff? Are you listening to good things? Because as you do that, it'll be a lot easier to proclaim and say the right identity and the right things when you get squeezed. And you're going to get squeezed from here to the next level in your life. If you've written 20K, your goal is to write 40K a month, you're going to get squeezed. It's just not going to be easy. It's like saying, my body fat's 15, I want it to be 10. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to do a different kind of squeezing. So what does that look like when you get squeezed? What comes out? That's a telltale sign of what you're putting in. So make sure affirmations, that's the second paver, is affirmation. The third is visualization. See, the more clear and the bigger the picture is, the more compelling it is. Like I said, are you going to be moved by a compelling picture of your future? Or are you going to be moved by a future that just feels so familiar? And that's going to be produced from the past. And so really saying, hey, I got to have this vision and make sure I can see it with just hyper clarity. Like I can just visualize it. When you close your eyes, what do you see about the future? See, if you can't see it before you see it, you'll never see it. You have to see it first in your mind's eye to be able to go out there and do the thing you need to do to see it in reality. And so what is your vision of your life? Do you know what you want your family to look like? Do you know what you want your body to look like? Do you know what you want your business to look like? Do you know what your personal production needs to look like? Do you know what disciplines and values that you want to have? Do you know what your character is? Do you have a vision for it? Not what you see right now. What you see when you open your eyes, that's sight. That's already here. It's what you see when you close your eyes. What do you envision about your future? What does it look like? And have you made it so compelling that you almost feel like it's already happened? That's the commonalities of the best of the best. That's the commonalities of the most successful people in the country and the most significant ones that are able to go out there and make a big difference. So visualization is such an essential part for you to go out there and get across that path. I mean, think about it like this. If you can really see it and you start to visualize it, it'll have that pull. I'll give you an example. I remember when I was just getting started in insurance, I was dialing in a garage with a TV tray, one of those plastic chairs. Plastic chair wasn't even a good plastic chair. It was like $1 plastic chair with plastic broken. My butt cheeks kind of hanging out of one side because it's broken. And I'm making these phone calls trying to go out there and help clients. In my mind though, before I did that, I was visualizing myself being in a skyscraper, feet kicked up. An assistant walks in and says, hey, listen, I know you're crazy busy. You got 100 different meetings, all these people you're taking care of, but can you call these families? Somebody dropped the ball. Me thinking like, I guess I'll stop and do that. And the truth was, in reality, I was in 110 degree garage weather. I mean, sweating. One of my shirt was off, butt cheeks hanging through the plastic chair. And I'm just trying to make my first sale. But you got to have your visualization right. We were visualizing my daughter being healed before she was healed. I visualized her ringing the bell. I saw it. I thought about it. I meditated on it. And it caused me to operate and do the thing in the present moment that was going to best align us to be able to see that come to pass. And so see it before you see it. Next stone is exercise. See, your physiology will dictate your psychology. Get up and move. If you feel tired, you don't feel like it, man, get up, do some up downs, do some jumping jacks, go to the gym, get active. That will shift your mind. I can't tell you how many times I don't feel like doing something and I'm caught up in my feelings and I go out there and I start getting active and I start moving and all of a sudden I've got now back control over my feelings because I'm able to say, hey, I'm gonna suppress that feeling. I'm gonna condition it. And so it's important to condition your body, right? That's how you have the ability to walk into this higher level of thought process, because your thought process, your mindset has got control of your body not controlling over your mind. And so having some activity, getting your physiology right, going to the gym, working out, man, it helps so much with just getting confidence. Confidence is necessary to go out there and hit your next level. Confidence is essential to hit your next level. If you don't have the confidence that is required to get you to your next level in your business, you won't get there. Confidence is fuel. And so making sure you're doing certain things and building yourself up where you go in and you say, man, I can go out there and make 100 phone calls in the next hour. That's easy because I just sweated and burned 1,000 calories at the gym. Like setting yourself up where you do something really difficult early in the morning with your body and getting it conditioned will set yourself up to have a much better day. So the fourth one is exercise. Next one is read. So making sure that every day you're consuming something good. For my kids, I pay them to read and personally develop. I don't pay them to do chores. Why? Because I want them to understand that real money that comes on the back end, it starts first and foremost with them developing themselves. That the thing that comes before the result of finances, it comes the development of you. And so reading a book, making that a part of your daily routine, whether that's reading the Bible, reading a personal growth book, there's tons of them out there. But every day saying, I'm going to get a little bit better. I'm going to think a little bit better. And so I'm going to put myself in front of a higher level thought process, because how many know that for $20, you could place yourself in front of a mentor, somebody that has maybe gone out there and built an 8-figure business that is giving you the best version of them. Like they've sat there, they've studied, they've searched their mind, and they put down thoughts, and they've spent years developing this book. They're giving the best of them to you, and you get to use their hindsight as your foresight. So such an essential thing to make sure reading becomes a part of your pavers. It's another stepping stone to get you to the goal that you've got. Next one is scribing. Scribing, you say, what is that? Well, for one, it's journaling, but a J doesn't go with pavers, so we had to use scriber. So scribing, it's pavers. So the last one is scribing. That's journaling. It's not just taking notes. It's making notes on what you've read in your book, what you found in prayer time, what's been uncovered to you through prayer time, what you've experienced through the day. I'm going to journal and ask myself, what did this day teach me? What did I learn from it? What did I enjoy? What gave me energy today? Really helping yourself become aware of what's going to fuel you, what depletes you, just building the heightened awareness. Because in order to go hit your potential of what 2026 could be for you, it first starts with awareness. It then goes to ability, which this is all setting you up with the right ability. And then it helps you, it goes to choices. What choices are you going to make? In order to make the better level, higher level choice, you got to be aware of where you're currently at. If you want to fly to Florida, you got to know that you're in California if that's where you're at. Because if you're in Texas, you're not gonna get there. You're gonna work from the wrong coordinates. And so making sure you're scribing and journaling is essential. And so these are the pavers that will help set yourself up to get to the goal that you've got. Guys, this is something that I promise you, if you develop these disciplines and you don't just do them one day, but you do them daily, you will lay the foundation. You will set yourself up to go out there and be the type of person that can accomplish all the goals that you've got for 2026. And so I hope this served you and served you well. Make sure to like, subscribe, share this with somebody. Maybe there's somebody out there that's got high intentions to do something great in 2026, but if they don't know that it requires these pavers, these strong stepping stones to really show you the path and get from where you're at to where you want to go, maybe they don't make it. So share it with them. I hope this serves you and serves you well, guys. We love you. Make it a massive week. Be strong and stay steadfast. We'll talk to you next week. God bless you guys.